Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our online session for the Teacher Preparation Program. This information session hopefully will leave you with information about UC Merced Extension's Teacher Preparation Program. So welcome. If you have any questions, you can ask during the presentation or even after the presentation.
And the best way to go ahead and ask your questions is just to unmute yourself. And for those of you that haven't been on Zoom before, you just click on the little microphone. And if you want us to see you, like a couple of you have, you can go ahead and click and then you can enable your camera. So if you don't want us to see you because you're drinking something delicious, what is that, Gustavo, that you have?
Oh, shoot.
You can go ahead and hide your picture.
Okay.
I haven't eaten anything yet. My name is I'm the Associate Director for UC Merced Teacher Preparation. And this is Dr. Mariana Harris. She's our Interim Director of Education Programs here with UC Merced. And we'll both be kind of talking and jumping in. So like I said, if you do have any questions, by all means, unmute yourself and just start talking, because if you don't, I just will keep talking. All right, so one of the big things about our program is that we believe that teachers are mentors and that teachers can be change agents, especially teachers who are culturally responsive and who are advocates for their students. So we want you to become a mentor and to inspire change, but also definitely to love what you do and love the kids that you work with and love the curricular programs that you work with, and know that as in any other job, I think, out there, you can impact change. You definitely can. But as a teacher, you can impact a lot of lives for the better and sometimes for the worse. But with UC Merced and with our program, we want to make sure that we're impacting those lives for a long time and for the better.
I think it's important for you to know what our mission is, and I'm going to read it to you. I know it's on the screen, but you need to know that the UC Merced Extension Teacher Preparation Program, and you're going to see the abbreviation TPP, that's Teacher Preparation Program, exists to develop culturally responsive educators that equitably facilitate cross-disciplinary integrative learning to catalyze student potential and empowerment. And we really are committed to making sure that we're sending a diverse workforce of new teachers out into the Central Valley as well as beyond. And in addition, we want to make sure that you understand the importance of serving all students, and I emphasize all students. Our vision: we aspire to be a recognized model for developing culturally responsive teachers that are committed to empowering their students. We are aligned with the vision of the University of California, Merced, upholding 21st century priorities for interdisciplinary learning and public service. So you will see that we are, like we said, an extension of UC Merced.
And all of our classes, whether you be interested in a multiple subject teaching credential or a single subject teaching credential in math, science, English, or history, are integrated models. We try to, you don't have one specific class that teaches you about one specific thing, but we want to make sure that each one of your classes integrates, because so much of what you do as a teacher crosses over. What do you do to teach reading? Well, we do all this kind of stuff with reading because it's all integrated. So we want to make sure that the model that we're utilizing allows for that and gets you prepared for what you'll do as a teacher.
As Marissa said, we offer 2 credential options. You can be an elementary school teacher teaching grades TK is transitional kindergarten to 6, and that requires up to, in our program, 41 units, and that's called a multiple subject credential. Or you can go for a single subject credential, which means that you can teach English, history, math, and science. In middle school and high school, that means grades 7 through 12. And once again, it's up to 35 units that are required.
And it just ends up being more units for multiple subject credentials because you got to learn how to teach everything. Whereas a single subject credential, your focus is on your subject matter. So that's why there are less units associated with that program.
Two questions, if I may.
Sure.
First one, when you were mentioning earlier about working for all students, I might be a little naive, but I thought that part sort of went as part of the definition of teacher already.
You know, it does, but in the state of California, we try to emphasize the fact that we're preparing you to teach all students. So that means your English language learner students are included in that, your disabled students are included in that, and all cultural groups that represent the state of California.
Second question, if one gets the multiple subject credential, does that also double as a single subject or no?
No, it does not. It is very specific, a multiple subject credential. An elementary teacher is required to teach all subject matter in a self-contained classroom. And so that's why you're prepared differently than a single subject credential teacher who's actually has an expertise in a certain subject area. And for our credentialing purposes, we offer English, history, math, and science for high school or middle school teaching.
Once you do have a credential, whether it be multiple subject or single subject, you can add an additional credential to that by taking the CSETs, which are your subject matter competency assessments, and then a teaching practicum course, and then you can add on an additional credential. So like if you want to get a multiple subjects teaching credential, but then you also might want to teach English at a high school level, you would complete the requirements for the multiple subject credential and then take your CSETs for the specific subject matter that you'd like to do single subject in, a teaching practicum course, and then you'd be done with that secondary credential.
Would it be similarly quick if I wanted to go from a single subject credential, which I got first, and then go for a multiple subject? Would it also be fast like that?
Yes, if you already hold a single subject credential, a valid single subject credential in California, then you would do the same thing. You take your CSETs for multiple subjects, teaching practicum, and you'd have to do some time with either student teaching or in an internship position, and then that would be able to move you forward.
You're mentioning the student teaching. I was informed at one point that hours spent substitute teaching at the grade level we intend to work at qualified for the field work that we have to have going into the course or into the program.
So student teaching is something a little different than just field work. So we do, and the state of California does require 45 hours of field work in the subject that you're interested in getting. Like, so if you have a single subject credential, but you want to get a multiple subject credential, you need to spend 45 hours in that class before you come to the program. Any student teaching time has to be, number one, you have to be in a program. You have to be assigned a mentor from the district, and you have to be assigned a mentor from our program. It has to be supervised time. So while you're in a substitute position, you are being supervised by the district. You're not being supervised by a university. So those hours don't necessarily count for that clinical practice piece, but they will count as field work hours.
Would it cover because I think there was supposed to be a minimum amount of field work we had to have under our belts before we went into the teaching preparation program. Would the substitute hours qualify for that?
Definitely.
Yes.
All right, excellent.
Thank you for your questions.
All right. Okay, I'm going to move this again because that way we can read.
So what does the teaching credential program require? There's 3 components. There's the first component, which is coursework, classes that focus on becoming a teacher leader. So you are required to go through all of our courses, and we'll outline those later in this presentation. Then the second part is clinical practice, which the person before was asking about. You are required to do student teaching or be currently in an internship. And then assessments are required. You have the CSET, which we mentioned earlier. The CSET is what tells us you're qualified to teach the subject matter that you want to teach. RECA is only for those who are getting a multiple subject credential because it requires you to be able to teach reading. And then the Cal TPA 1 and 2, that's what the state of California requires, is that we can sign off on the fact that you can teach, because you're going to send a clip, a 5-minute clip of your teaching that will be assessed by a scorer, which is what Marissa is. Marissa is a scorer of the Cal TPAs.
Yeah, and I'll speak a little bit to the assessment pieces, but so like I said, the Cal TPAs 1 and 2, they are assessments that you do with support of your program, and you must be in a program to be able to complete them. We do provide a specific seminar for those classes to get students through them, so don't be too scared. The RECA is, like you said, for multiple subject candidates only. It is required for the multiple subject credential, and we do have a course where RECA support is embedded. And again, the CSET, you must have those done. We would love for everyone to have those done before they enter our program, but we also recognize that not everybody has those, and so we allow students to apply to our program without having completed CSETs. But I guess the caveat of it is that you are a part-time student, because you're part-time focusing on those CSETs, and you're part-time in coursework focusing on those CSETs, and you do not start clinical practice, which is the student teaching portion, until you have your subject matter competency. Now, when I was getting my teaching credential back in 2003, there was a subject matter waiver that was given out with the state universities, and certain state universities haven't since gotten permission to give out that subject matter waiver. So a graduate of possibly CSU Stanislaus that was a liberal studies major, they may have gotten a CSET waiver. And so we do take that CSET waiver if your university granted one to you. And so that's something that you will know specifically from your university that you got your bachelor's degree from.
And all of these are required by CTC or the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. So remember that.
Yeah, we're not making it up.
No.
Try to make life harder.
Sorry, I'm a little bit confused about something.
Go ahead.
Back when I was originally looking into this program, I think it was last year, from what I was led to understand at the time, I had to have the CBEST and at least one CSET completed before I enrolled. But after I enrolled, I could use resources provided by the program to do the CSET, and it would all be fine as long as I got the CSET done before graduation. Now you're mentioning that we only count as a part-time student. So does that mean that we're limited in how many units we can take, or does it mean that we're being listed as part-time for purposes of our financial aid, or what?
So you have to have your CBEST done. Everybody has to have CBEST done before you apply to the program, before we can accept you. That right there is a requirement that is CTC, we cannot waive.
Mm-hmm.
The CSET requirement, and it's in our handbooks that are published on our website, that students must have completed all CSETs before they could be able to go to courses full time. So it's not just for financial aid purposes, it is for units purposes. So if you have not completed all CSETs, you start with just 6 units and 6 units at a time. So let's say you start and you take your foundations level courses, and then that semester you don't finish all CSETs. You cannot move on into a full-time status with clinical practice. And clinical practice is 600 supervised hours in the classroom over the course of a full year. So those of you that are interested in applying for our program for fall start, we are still taking applications. Our last day for late applications is May 1st. You can apply to our program without having passed your CSETs, but we do guide students to get CSET support. We do have CSET study sessions, but we don't necessarily have, like, if you're going to be a science teacher, we don't have a workshop that you can go to that's specific to that CSET, but we do point people in the right direction as to where to get that CSET help. But if you, like I said, if you're applying for a fall or maybe even a spring start, this gives you that time to get those CSETs done. You don't need to have a CSET completed before applying to the program or before enrolling in any classes, but you will need to have all CSETs done before you start clinical practice.
Okay, so, all right, I'm sorry, I'm trying to clarify. So I'm assuming the first semester is normally, for the program, would normally be something like 18 units if you're saying 36 units for the single subject credential program. So if I don't have all my CSETs done, then I start in fall, I'm only allowed to take 6 units. Are the other 12 units normally clinical practice, or is clinical practice normally for the second semester?
We'll actually get into that as we
Yeah.
proceed through the PowerPoint, but this actually is a 3-semester program. So we expect students to be continuously enrolled fall, spring, summer, 1 year. And if you have all CSETs passed before you start, then it is a 1-year program. But if you do not have all CSETs passed, it turns into a little bit of a longer program. But also there are students who, like, let's say they have all their CSETs passed and they take their 9 units and are ready for this internship, because this internship option is you go out, you find a job. We don't find an internship for you, you find that. These students say, you know, I'm working full time. I can't do full time at night too, so I want to go through part time. Internship credentials are valid for 2 years, so it is a different possibility of how to get going. But like I said, about the specific course flow, we will get into that. So we'll go to the next slide, and hopefully we can answer your question.
So you see that student teaching is a part of the requirement of our program as well as CTC. So all coursework and field work through teacher preparation program, that's what you do in our program. You take all your coursework and your field work through us. You may transfer up to 6 units of coursework from another accredited institution. So anyone who has come from Stan State, Fresno State, you are allowed to bring in some extra units, and we'll assess if we accept those. There is an option for those of you who are still on campus. You can take the NS Ed minor and complete some of the courses through that on campus, through that minor on campus. So that's one of the routes to get into student teaching with some of the coursework completed. Student teaching with the education minor, you heard me just speak of that. You can complete some of the field work as an undergrad as well through that same minor, and you can complete some of the coursework through that minor as well. So it's an integrated teaching pathway that the Department of Natural Sciences education minor offers at UC Merced.
All right. As far as the using the NSCD courses, I graduated from UC Merced a few years ago, but I did get the NSCD minor at the time.
Nice.
Would those still be applicable towards this?
Yes.
I wasn't sure because it sounded like you said that they had to be done for people who were still on campus, so I was a little confused.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I thought there were some people who are on the phone call who are still on campus active undergraduate students.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I was a little confused there.
No, sorry about that. But no, yes, if you were a graduate and you took these courses, yes, we will assess those and you most likely will get credit for those.
Yeah, our program was built hand in hand with the NSCD minor, so you will get credit if you completed that. And there are some other benefits to being a completed NSCD minor to our program, and we can speak specifically to those at the end.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
So my question is, you mentioned the CBEST. If someone who wants to apply to the program has completed the reading and writing section, but still needs to work on the math section, does that mean I still can apply?
We needed a completed CBEST to be able to apply. So whenever you can get those pieces done, but we do also do different versions of the subject matter competency. If you have whatchamacallit scores, what is that test that everybody takes in high school that they get into college with?
SAT.
Yeah, SAT scores can meet that. And if you want to check and see if what you've done could possibly count for that CBEST requirement, at the end of this slide presentation, we have Janelle Barnes' email address, and she's our credential analyst and program coordinator, and she could answer your specific questions because you may have met that requirement through a different means. But it is a requirement of all teacher prep programs that we have CBEST scores on file at the time of application.
Thank you.
Okay, so those students that are currently teaching, there are some different now, and these with the top 3 bullets here are all emergency credentials. None of these credentials are preliminary credentials, which is not an emergency credential. So a short-term staff permit is pretty much a student has a bachelor's degree and they get hired on to teach in a school district. They are the teacher of record. So, and they pass CSETs, but they're not enrolled in a teacher preparation program. A provisional internship permit, and the top one is referred to as a STIP, and then the bottom one, the second one is PIP. This is when someone has not passed CSETs, but they are enrolled in a TPP program. So they are enrolled in a program. Again, that internship is you are in our program, you've passed all CSETs, you've completed 9 units in our program, and you've also met the Constitution requirement, which is built into your bachelor's degree if you attended a state university. If you attended a UC, that sometimes it's not in there, and so there's a test that you can take that's online that will meet that requirement. And again, if you are interested in being an intern, you have to have passed that's in the subject matter area and have completed 9 semester units before you can enroll as an intern. The accelerated intern program, what that means is you've passed all your CSETs and there's a test and I don't have it written here and I'll look it up, but it ends with a K. You take this test and you waive all your coursework. You don't have to take any classes, but you do have to pass Cal TPA 1 and Cal TPA 2, and if you're a multiple subject candidate, RECA, and then you're done. But if you fail anything along the way, like one CSET or one test or anything, they automatically bump you back to a regular intern because you have a job and you have to take all your coursework. So that accelerated intern option is available to complete everything without having to do your coursework. But like I said, if you don't pass the test and it's something K, I'll have to look for it. and I'll go ahead, and if you're interested in that option, please email me so I can send you the actual name of the test. We haven't had anyone do this option yet. But like I said, if you're an intern because you have all your CSETs passed, you're interested in the accelerated, you take the test, you pass it, you don't take any coursework, you just do Cal TPA 1 and 2.
Okay, so this part is specifically people who are already doing the internships, right?
Everybody that's already has a job and has passed CSETs. If you're interested in doing the accelerated intern program, yes.
All right, because I'm just doing substitute teaching right now, so I figured that probably wouldn't qualify there, then would it?
Right. Yeah. You have to be the teacher of record to be able to do the internship.
All right. Also, earlier you were mentioning the CSET to CBEST. I want to double check. I know CBEST, I only have to take it once, and if I pass, that's good for life. But how long is are the CSETs good for?
5 years.
Oh, last time I heard it was. Well, that means I have to go take a third one.
Oh.
Yeah, we unfortunately we had a student who had passed all of her CSETs, and it missed the mark by like 2 months, and they expired. Yeah, they're 5 years.
So I have a question. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you?
Yes. Hi, Montel.
Hey, how's it going?
Fine.
Good. So I'm gonna be a graduating senior. It sounds like to me there's a lot of different paths and possibilities to this teacher preparation program.
Mhm.
I'm just curious about I suppose the optimal way for me to get into this because I haven't taken any tests, haven't really done anything to be honest. I'm just focusing on school. So what should be my approach to this? Should I be trying to take these tests or I don't really know.
Well, when would you be looking to start, in the fall or in the spring?
Yeah, the fall would be nice.
Then my number one suggestion would be to get the CBEST done.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that way you can turn in your application and we can do the interview process. And that actually segues lovely into our slide here. Our priority application deadline for fall has already passed, but we are accepting late applications up until May 1st. So
Okay.
if you get your CBEST done and they give it out, they give that test at multiple different testing centers depending upon your own schedule.
Yeah.
So take that CBEST test, pass that, and then come into our program. We will provisionally admit students that have not passed CSETs, but you're looking to start in the fall, so you can start working on those CSETs over the summer. And if you get those passed 6 weeks before term starts, then we move you provisional to full time, and you'll start student teaching full time in the fall.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
So
was under the impression that this was like a sort of a class of sorts. Like we take classes like a student, then we learn how to teach and stuff like that. But this is cool. That's cool. Okay, so take the CBEST, then over the summer take the C sets, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then hopefully during the fall start teaching.
Yes.
definitely, because once you have your bachelor's degree, you
Yeah,
can go ahead and start applying for jobs.
Right.
I
And
see.
you can get hired teaching without your CSETs completed on one of those emergency credentials. And we have in our program, more than half of our students are in the classroom full-time
Right.
teachers of record. And out of those, I would say it's almost a 50-50 split with ones
Mhm.
that are working on an emergency credential versus working on an internship. And some of our students, like I was saying earlier, that they're working full time, they don't want to go to school full time because it's just too much. So they want to take 2 classes at a time. They have multiple years to get through. You technically would have 4 years to complete this program if you used your PIP, then your STIP, and then your 2 years as an intern. We don't want you to stay in for 4 years because it's a 1-year program, but you do have some more time. So like I said, if you are interested in looking for jobs, the best website to find what teaching jobs are available in this area and in the entire state of California is a website called edjoin.org, and it's EDJION, right? Join.
JOIN.
Yeah, where I spelled edjoin wrong. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. But that website right there lists all the teaching positions that are available in the entire state of California.
Right.
And so if you want to start looking for a job, you can do that without having these requirements. But for our program and for any teacher preparation program in the entire state of California, you have to have your CBEST or its equivalency. Like I said, you may have met that requirement through, what is that test again?
What's the
SAT.
test?
Huh?
SAT.
SATs, thank you. You may have met that requirement through your SATs. So you may not even have to take that test depending upon what your SAT score was.
I
So,
see.
and like I said, and we'll have our email addresses at the end, and Janelle Barnes would be the best person to reach out with some of those very specific questions.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Good.
And our spring 2021 priority application deadline is July 31st. So if you're looking to maybe start in the spring, then that's the application deadline there.
I'm sorry, I might have misheard you. Did you say that the SATs could take the place of the CSETs as far as the application goes?
The best.
Okay, the CBEST. Okay, darn.
Yeah, I know they all sound the same, but the CBEST and the CSETs are very different tests. Yeah. Okay. So we kind of talked a little bit about this already, but the application process, we ask for 2 statements of purpose and 3 letters of recommendation. And I want to be clear on the letters of recommendation. Please make sure that they are not from, relatives. I know your grandma loves you and she thinks you'd be the best teacher ever, but please find someone else to write you a letter of recommendation, professional letters of recommendation. The certificate of clearance, unofficial transcripts. You do not have to give us an official copy with your application. Just a PDF of your unofficials is fine. And what we're looking for on there is your bachelor's degree. And if you are looking to transfer in any courses, we need to see them there, because you have to have a B or better in those courses. You can't have taken a class and gotten a C in it and get credit in our program. We do need a B- or better. The basic skills assessment, which is your CBEST or your any other way that you are going to meet that basic skills assessment. And then your subject matter competency, that is the CSET assessments. But again, if you went to a university that you were a liberal studies major and you have a CSET waiver, that works for that as well. And your fieldwork verification, which is that 45 hours that's recently been spent. And when I say recently, I mean 2 to 3 years in the past. Your fieldwork verification that you've spent time. If you want to teach, high school physics, your 45 hours needs to be in high school physics. So you want to spend that time with them. And like I said, it is 45 hours, and that can be done through volunteer work, through substitute teaching. Sometimes people verify their field work when they had an emergency credential or they were a clinician. Those things do count. And once an application is submitted, we review it, and then we contact students for interview. And if you are interviewed and we would like to extend you an offer of admission, we send you that email, and then you sir, or you let us know that you want to be in our program. Then we meet with you and advise you. And at that point, we go over a course of study for you, because everybody's on a slightly different course of study. If you were an NSED minor, or if you come from another university, or you don't have anything in your background that's teaching, we definitely meet with you and talk to you about your courses, your plan for completing our program, so that way you feel you know what you're getting into, and you know what the end game looks like, and you have that plan. And then we do an orientation for all of our candidates that start every semester. We do a little bit of a longer orientation in the beginning, like your very first semester, but every semester we do a returning candidate orientation. That's usually a lot more like a party, because everybody comes together again and sees each other. But we do orient students, because when you're in college, there are catalog rights, right? With teaching credential programs, there are no catalog rights. The CTC can make a change mid-program, and if you are mid-program, they can make that change, and we have to honor it. So it's important to understand those pieces, and that's why we have the orientation every semester to discuss with students if there are any changes. Because we like to be upfront with people, some pre-costs. Your CBEST can cost up to $102, but like I said, if it's necessary, if you meet those requirements in other ways, you don't necessarily have to take the CBEST. Best person to check with on this is Janelle Barnes. The multiple subject CSET subtests 1, 2, and 3, they're not $300 each. It's about $300 total. They're usually about $75 to $100 each. It just depends on where you take it and how you take it, whether it's by computer or paper pencil. Single subject CSET subtests, it just depends on what single subject you're trying to get. So it's like the history, there's 4 parts to it, but for some science, there's only 2 parts. So that $300 is an estimation. It may be more, it may be less, but it's not more, because there are no more than 4 subtests. A TB test, there may be some kind of a doctor's copay. If you get your TB test done through, I believe, the county health office, they're usually free. But again, if you have to have a TB test, and you have to test negative for to be able to go out to the classrooms. A certificate of clearance, they look into your background and make sure that you're appropriate to be around young children. And a live scan fingerprints. That means that you have to go in and get fingerprinted, and depending upon where you go to get those fingerprints, the costs can be between $50 and $100. And none of these costs are built into our program. They are all pre-program costs. So, and then, but except for the CSETs, if you're taking those while you're in program, you'd obviously pay them while in program. And a note about the CSETs, and we've talked about this, but I just want to make sure we're clear. It's half-time course enrollment until all subtests are passed. Most courses require you to be in some kind of clinical practice. If you have not passed all your CSETs, but you're in a course where they require you to do something in a classroom, you'll be responsible for finding that classroom to do something in. And of course, if you need help, you can always check in with your instructor or with any one of the program coordinators. We could help you find a place to go. And we do provide some CSET guidance and some workshops, but there's so many different CSETs that we typically send people out for workshops, and we make sure we stay in contact with, different entities like Merced County Office of Education and other universities that are offering workshops, so we can support you as you complete your CSETs. And I know there are some CSET workshops on main campus for anyone that is interested in some of those. They're put out by the NSCD minor. And again,
all right.
Oh, sorry.
So regarding the certificate of clearance and the live scan fingerprints, if we already have those for purposes of getting something else, like say when I got my substitute credential, can I use the ones from that, or do I need to get separate ones?
I believe the certificate of clearance and the live scan, I would have to verify about the live scan. I don't want to give you misinformation, because a lot of times when you like when you substitute teach, you get a live scan done at the county office of ed, and
Right.
they send it out to all the districts saying you're cleared. But if you want to go down to Matera County, you have to get another live scan done.
That is correct.
So that one I would need to send over to Janelle to verify, because like I said, I don't want to give any misinformation. But if you've been live scanned in Merced County for the purposes of subbing, like I said, we can verify that with Janelle, because there is a possibility that you may have to be live scanned again because they are not allowed to share that information, even if you give them permission. So, yeah, but the certificate of clearance is good all over the place. But the live scan, sometimes they make you get scanned in multiple different places.
True. That's true.
Estimated program costs, application and candidacy fee, it's $100. This estimated program tuition with the little star, typically for students that are NSCD minors on main campus, you eliminate some of your units, so you end up paying about $10,800 versus the $18,450. And it also depends on what program you're in. If you're a multiple subject candidate, then you're at 41 units, that's where you are. And we do charge a per unit fee. We do not add anything else. There is no health fee, there is no sports and athletic fees, there's nothing else. It is purely per unit. And again, the units will depend on your previous coursework and previous field work that we have verified into our program. We estimate textbooks and materials to be about $500. We do our best to try to keep textbooks costs down and to utilize the same books in multiple classes. So, but an estimate of about $500 is things that you might need. RECA, again, only applies to your multiple subjects candidates. There's two types of RECA tests. You can either take a written test or a video test, and there are fees associated with them depending upon what version you take. Everybody must do Cal TPA cycles 1 and 2. They're $150 each, so it's about $300. Your CPR course, if you are not already CPR and currently CPR certified, you must have CPR certification to file for your preliminary credential. So it's around $100 depending upon where you go. And then the Constitution exam, if you don't have the Constitution requirement built into your bachelor's degree, and most students that attend UC don't have the Constitution exam requirement fulfilled, it's about $85 online. And then, of course, filing for your credential can cost between $55 to $102. So to help you pay for all that, Because we are an accredited university, we do have federal and state aid available to students. So as soon as you turn in your application, go ahead and fill out your FAFSA. This is a graduate program, but we are still considered a fifth-year program. So any money that you have left over in your Cal Grant or in your Pell Grant that you did not use in your bachelor's degree can be utilized to help pay for this program. There are other grants that are out there, like the Teach Grant, where if you fulfill a certain amount of years of teaching in a high-need area, you will get, I think it's like $4,000 or $5,000. And then, and of course, there's always loans, both subsidized and unsubsidized, depending upon what you qualify for. All federal aid, all financial aid is based on half-time or full-time status, and most candidates are awarded a combination of grants and loans. And you do go through the financial aid office here with UC Merced, so there is financial advising that way. We do our best to point you to the financial aid office and make sure you are talking to the right person. But if you have any other concerns or issues, they are on main campus. Our courses are typically offered Monday through Thursday. We have 2 time slots, 4:30 to 6:50, and then 7:10 to 9:30. This semester, we're offering classes on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and we try to stack classes. So like, we know you're a single subject candidate. We put the single subject classes on the same day, so you can only come out, once or twice a week, depending upon your enrollment. We do have some workshops and webinars that are offered throughout the term. We did CSET study sessions. We did RECA study sessions. We do have some webinars on classroom management and some other like specialty topics that students want to focus on. We do those both online and in person. And all of our classes are during this semester are offered at the downtown campus center right there on 18th Street across from the Civic Center. But in future, classes may be offered on main campus or online. And we do follow the UC Merced academic calendar, which is found online. We do ask that students are continuously enrolled fall, spring, summer. If you're enrolled fall, spring, summer, you have all your CSETs passed, and you can get through in 1 year with all your coursework and be ready to go. Full-time status is 12 units plus, part-time status is 6 to 11 units. And again, financial aid is dependent upon the number of units that you're enrolled in. And so this is like a typical course of study for a multiple subject candidate. We do offer our courses in a sequence. So if a course is offered in the spring, it's not offered in summer and fall as well. But if you start in spring, they're not in a specific order. You just need to complete all of the sequence. So you'll take your math science course, and then the ELA history course, and then foundations courses. These are specialty courses where they're looking at project-based instruction and looking at diverse populations. And then the final student teaching and your teaching practicum. This X303 here is your clinical practice. You are required to complete, any teacher is required to complete 600 hours of clinical practice, which is that supervised time in the classroom. If you are an intern, you complete it through that process. But again, you have to be enrolled in clinical practice 1 and 2, and that's only after completing all CSETs. And this is a course of study for a single subject candidate. They take a methods course, their foundations courses, clinical practice, and you'll notice it's less units because single subject candidates don't need to have as many classes as multiple subject candidates do. So let's begin here. Get your bachelor's degree. If you were an education minor at UC Merced, that's helpful. If you weren't, that's okay too. Complete your CSETs, get that early field work. If you don't complete those CSETs, you can still apply to TPP. We can admit you provisionally until you get all those CSETs passed. And again, if you're looking to start in the fall, you have some time to get those CSATs
Mhm.
passed, especially, working on them, toward the end of, starting at the end of May and over the summer. Apply to TPP. And if you get a job teaching, then you're already teaching. But if you want to be an intern, because that's a better credential to have, because you're starting to earn that, that special tenure, you want to be an intern. Or you do your student teaching route, which is a very rich experience. You get to see a lot of things. As an intern, you see one classroom. What you have to deal with as a student teacher, you actually do get to jump around and see other, middle school classes, high school classes as a single subject candidate, or as a multiple subjects candidate. You could see a primary class and a fifth grade class, and get to see what you really like and what you experience. Get a more rich experience. And then you get your preliminary credential after you have your coursework done, your supervised hours, your Cal TPAs, and for multiple subject candidates, the RECA passed. So here is our titles and our email addresses. This is our program coordinator and credential analyst. That's Janelle Barnes, jbarnes7@ucmerced.edu. This is me, associate director. My name is Marissa M. Lopez, 350@ucmerced.edu. And this is our director of ed programs, Dr. Mari Harris, M. Harris, 26@ucmerced.edu. Like to open it up for questions. You just got to unmute your little microphone and ask away.
I have a question, but I'm actually writing down this information first.
Same.
No problem. I'm going to have a drink of my...
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, do you offer provisional admission if we haven't met the 45 hours of field work?
That's
or we have to complete?
You have to complete those 45 hours. But if you look at it, it's 1 week of going to classrooms. So, and if you need some help, maybe finding some time or a place to go, then we can probably help you with that.
And Gustavo,
Okay.
something that you might want to think about is if you've worked as a coach, if you've worked as a Sunday school teacher, those are the kinds of things. You're working with young people. So those are the kind of hours that you can use to document your experience.
Okay. But if it was at a charter school, that doesn't count, right?
Yes, it does. A charter school is a public school.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And how would I get that verified then?
Oh,
We have a form on our
Yeah.
website that you would have to get the signature of someone that supervised you during that time. So the school administrator or the teacher that you worked with, they could sign off for you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Regarding the letters of recommendation, I have some. Unfortunately, they're roughly from when I graduated. So that would make them, let me see here, it looks like 7 years old now. Do I have to get new ones?
Hours?
No,
New letters
letters
of
of recommendation.
recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We ask for at least like within the last 18 months, typically.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so I'm just going to have to go back to my alma mater and check with the teachers I've been subbing with anyways. That should cover it.
Well,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have a letter from a faculty member or anything
Right.
like that. What we're looking for is to speak to your character and your ability to work with students. So if you are subbing for a teacher and they request you back, then that's definitely someone that you would ask for a letter from.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to necessarily be a university instructor that you had 7 years ago, unless you really made a mark on them and they remember you and can give you that letter. You can look for other people in your life that can speak to your professionalism and to your ability to complete projects and work that you've started.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask my question. You mentioned these courses that we have to take, and that's a part of the program here, the teacher preparation program.
Yes.
So after we take those courses, are we then qualified to teach? I'm so confused about the nature of this program and how it leads to ultimately being a teacher.
Okay. So
Yeah.
like we said, let's assume that you pass all your CSETs and you
Okay.
start full time. Your first semester will look like 2 nights a week, 4 classes,
Okay.
and you will spend 200 hours in a supervised setting at a school.
Okay.
What kind of a credential are you going to seek? Single or multiple subject?
Single.
Single in what?
English.
So you're looking to be a single subject English teacher. English credentials, multiple or single subject credentials require you to spend time in a middle school setting and at a high school setting.
Okay.
If
All right,
you want to teach high school, you're going to want to spend your second part of clinical practice at the high school, because the first part is 200 hours. So that can be met by you going out to that school twice a week for a full day and seeing what a middle school English class looks like. So during your day, you go out to your classroom and you're working with a credentialed teacher and you're helping out, you're observing, you're teaching one-on-one, you're teaching lessons, however it works out. But you have to be observed 6 times by a university mentor or a university representative to be able to say that you were in a supervised position and that you know how to teach middle school kids.
Yeah.
Take your classes. Then the next semester, you go out 400 hours. And in that 400 hours, you have to have 4 weeks. And it can be broken up into different pathways, but it can't just be like, it can't be 4 weeks that you do like every Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and you don't go Thursday and Friday. You have to have 4 weeks of continuous attendance as a student teacher, and you have to take over during that 4-week time. Okay. So you go out 400 hours, there's 4 weeks of continuous attendance, and you take classes in the evening.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there is student teaching time, and then there's your classes in the evening. And then in the summer, you'll finish off in the summer with 3 classes as a single subject candidate on Tuesday and Wednesday. And in that second section right there, that 400 hours, that's where you do your CalTPAs. You do that assessment through a seminar, guided. I was just meeting with a student before we did this, where I was working with him on his CalTPAs, and we meet individually. We work on stuff that's specific to you, and we get you through those assessments in that semester. Then you take your last 3 classes. We recommend you for a credential.
And let me just add on, Montel, all of these classes are intended to prepare you to go out and have a classroom of your own. You were not an education major.
Definitely not.
Right, because I was, and that's a whole different route. But this year program allows someone who wants to take the test to test into their subject area and say that they're proficient at it, to be able to take courses that could prepare you to teach it. So all of these courses are giving you the tools you need to be a teacher in a public school.
Okay.
And that's why you're taking these classes, because
Right.
you're going to be with veteran educators like myself and other teachers like Marissa, who are going to share with you and teach you. This is what you need when you go into a classroom and you have a classroom of your own. Because our goal is to send you out in 1 year, sign off on CTC, Commission on Teacher Credentialing, and say, Montel is ready to teach in any public school class. English in any public school class.
Right. And all of our instructors, I always tease them, they're all moonlighting. They all have another job during the day. And some of them are administrators, some of them are teachers, some of them are academic coaches, but not, other than Dr. Harris and myself, no one is full-time in our program. And I feel like that's actually part of our strength.
Yeah.
Because if you go and see them at 12:30 in the afternoon, they're in a classroom.
Right.
They're with kids. So they're very close to what they're doing, and they can give you a lot of information. And they like to headhunt. Some of them do. Like they're an administrator. They know they're going to be hiring these people, and they get to see you. And we do have several of our candidates that have gotten hired that way, because they You know, they get to meet administrators and different people in districts. And part of our student teaching placement is we try to place you in a place that's going to hire somebody. So we won't send you out to a district that's probably not going to hire you.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so that's part of why we place people where we place them, because we know there's going to be some kind of an opening. And we have good partnerships with a lot of districts in this area to be able to find our candidates jobs and to help them find some jobs.
And yes, just as Marissa said, there are jobs in the Valley. So, and we're preparing for a teacher shortage. So you are preparing yourself to teach at a time when they desperately need teachers.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, would someone else, or were you talking to me?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. This is actually a bit embarrassing. If we have a bit of financial difficulty for doing things like paying for the seat sets or whatnot, should we just wait until we're enrolled and then use some of the financial aid money for that, or what?
That could work.
That could work, yeah.
Yeah, but there are a lot of other scholarships and grants out there. There's one that's coming out right now where the governor is allocating $20,000 grants.
Yes, yes.
Out there for teachers or for people that are applying to teacher credential program. What is that one called? The Golden State?
The Golden State. Yes, that one is just now coming out, and I know that our university is going to at least get one. We're hoping for more, where you can apply for it, and if you get it, you get $5,000 a year for 4 years if you teach in a high-risk school. And high needs
yeah,
school.
You're not going to get stabbed or
anything.
anything.
No. A high-need school. And most all the schools in this region are in that category. Does that help?
Sorry, I'm used to other voice chat programs, so I have a different key set up for my unmuting, so I just keep hitting Alt instead of spacebar. Yeah, that should help. Although, wait, you're saying that the 5,000 would be, would that be given out while I'm teaching? Would the first part of that be given out while I'm doing the preparation program?
Well, you know, it's a competitive process to get that grant. So what I'm saying is you can apply for this grant. And we don't know how many we'll get, but you see, Merced will get at least one of those grants. So we may have more. And so as you're in program, you could apply. And if you get that grant, that's a grant that gives you $5,000 per year for 4 years, as long as you commit to working in a high-need school.
But you already said that pretty much all the ones in Merced County, so like Atwater High, Buac Colony, all of those would qualify?
Yes.
Yes, all of them in the Valley. We looked them all up. They all qualify as a high-need school.
Yeah, and some of the financial aid options like the Teach grant and such, you get those while you're in program.
Right.
And I believe you get the Cal Teach, not the Cal Teach, the Golden State one grant, while you're in program.
While you're in program, right.
Yeah.
You apply while you're in our program.
Yeah. But again, those ones are easily searchable by going on for different forms of financial aid that are outside of what UC Merced grants. You can definitely search for scholarships and grants and other sources of income, based on that. And then, yeah, I know everybody has a different financial situation, but it's just however you want to balance that out. If you want to start the program part-time, continue subbing,
right.
Pay for CSETs and such as you go along, try to find a job and then get your CSETs passed, because you can be on emergency credential, still get support from our program, and not having passed CSETs, get that support to pass those CSETs, and then move forward. And maybe your second year, now you pass your CSETs, you move from that emergency, provisional internship permit or your STIP onto an internship. So there are different pathways, and there's as many pathways as there are teachers out there. So there's definitely unique circumstances. And that's why if you write down that email address right there, that jbarnes7, she is the best one, because she has all those pathways mapped out and she can help guide you along the way.
That name actually looks familiar. Was she the one who was in charge of the old SMI program back in the early 20-teens?
That I don't know.
I don't know.
I only started here, just a few months ago. I just met Janelle this past January. So, yeah, I'm not sure what she did before that, but I'm sure it was something awesome.
Yeah.
Because that was they sort of alternated between whether they were calling the NSED, or SMI for some reason. I think there was an actual more fine distinction, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, and her husband actually works on main campus, and he's a J. Barnes as well. So that might be, the other Barnes you might have met.
That's true. And don't forget, when you pass your CBEST, you're eligible to be a substitute teacher. So that is a way to make some extra money. And like Marissa said, to be part-time in the program until you gain the finances to keep moving along. So you could be a substitute teacher, be in program that semester, and get the money you need to take your CTEC.
And since you're going by a per unit rather than what UC Merced was doing for undergraduates, I think, when I started out, that means that even if I have to spread it out across multiple years, it's not going to change the cost, right?
Correct.
All right, well, that's at least a relief.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, I have a question.
You definitely asked your question first. I've been talking a lot.
Also, am I going next, or are you?
Yes, Gustavo?
Okay. Yeah. My question is, if you can speak more about like the partnerships with the school districts that you have, because I'm particularly interested in like Madera and Fresno Unified, because like that's my home.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to know like how would that work out with those districts?
Well, our clinical practice coordinator is actually an assistant superintendent in Chowchilla. So she does know a lot of people in those areas, and she is connected with those districts. So, and when you do clinical practice or working with, get an internship or an emergency credential with any district, we create a partnership with them. And we support you that way as well. So like I said, our clinical practice coordinator is, like I said, she's an assistant superintendent and has been out in Chowchilla for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And she's able to find, placements and we have students in our program as far as Tulare and as far north as up into Houston. Huh? Yeah. So we do have students all over the valley.
Yeah. So Gustavo, you would let her know, because she asks what your choices are. And she'll try to get your first choice. And if she can't, she'll let you know that and ask you if there's some other choices closer in the area. But we try to place most of our candidates in this greater area where we know there are jobs.
Okay, I understand.
Montel?
Yeah, okay, so I know that the CBEST is a test that we have to take before applying for this program. I was just curious about the nature of the tests, whether it's something that's I should study for. Is it something on par with other difficult tests, or?
It's not super difficult. It actually measures you at a 10th grade level.
All right, that's all I need to know. That's
it's not too bad. I took my CBEST when I was 19 years old on a Saturday morning that I forgot I was signed up for it, and I showed up in my pajamas with my hair sticking up, and I passed.
All right, we take those. Okay.
Yeah. But remember, CBEST is very different than CSET. CSET is a lot more, intensive, but CBEST, I would definitely, review, because there is a math section to it. There is a literacy, verbal section to it. And then there's an essay portion of it. So please do make sure you review for it. But, it's not meant to be a major roadblock. And like I said, it can, that process can be met through other means, like the SATs, or if you check in with Janelle, she has different combinations. So you might have already met that requirement.
I see.
And I do recommend, Montel, that you take it, as you're getting ready to graduate, because everything's fresh.
Right.
So that would be a way to be able to show yourself.
He's got to take it now, so he can get in our program.
I gotta take it pretty soon, for sure.
But that's what I mean. Don't wait too long, because been studying for the last 4 years, so this is a good opportunity to just take this one and pass.
Okay.
I can absolutely speak in support of that one. I did the CBEST, my first subject CSET, when like about a month or so after I graduated. Now I was looking back at doing the second and third one, and I'm going to the geometry one for math, and I'm looking at it, and I'm sitting here and I'm going, am I holding this upside down?
Hey, that's true.
Mhm.
That's true. With time, these things change.
Yeah, I wonder how well I'd do on it now.
I know.
After 16 years of teaching,
Yeah.
I wonder if I'd pass. I don't know.
Yeah. Any other questions? And you
So-
know you can contact us if something comes up that we didn't discuss or you have.
Go ahead.
Hello?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi. I just had a quick question. If we've already applied for fall, when should we be hearing back by?
We actually are going to be scheduling our first round of interviews within this next 2 weeks. We were actually going to schedule them earlier, but then this coronavirus thing happened.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. And so that kind of messed us up a little bit, but we are going to be reaching out to candidates who have applied and scheduling interviews. I believe our first round is coming up. Let me look at my calendar. Apologies. I think we are looking at like the 24th of March for our first round of interviews. But as we receive applications all the way up and through May 1st, we'll be contacting you for interview. And we definitely try to give you at least 1 to 2 weeks notice
Yes.
for your interview date, because we understand that you have this like life outside of what we're doing. So we want to make sure you have time to make it to your interview.
Perfect. Thank
Speaking
you.
of Speaking of regarding the coronavirus, if they do wind up having to do I heard there was mention about the school closures in some of the local counties. If that winds up happening extensively, then come the fall semester, where would people be placed for their clinical hours?
And that's something we can honestly speak to, because CTC, Commission on Teacher Credentialing, is aware of all of these school closures. So they are going to work with us because, those hours are required, and they made sure that we were clear on that. But they are going to work out something that will mitigate, what we need to do going forward.
The only thing I could possibly think of would be if they're going to do all the classes online, just invite the whichever one of us is doing the clinical hours to show up to that as well. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like
we're not sure. Yeah.
We're not sure. It's a fluid thing.
Yes,
I mean, I
is.
just got a notification on my phone about Merced College shifting to something. It's just so fluid, and there's nothing. I mean, we
Yeah.
can make conjectures about it, but
Yeah. Until we know something.
until we know what we know. Unfortunately, what we knew on Monday was different than what we know today.
That's true. That's
And
true.
so, like I said, I mean, I just got a notification that Disneyland is closed till the end of the month, and that just made it real for me. But, like I said, you don't know what, until you know what's going to happen. But the Commission on Teacher Credentialing is advising all of us. But I'm really hoping that this is going to be done hopefully soon, because I
Yeah.
want to go back to Disneyland. I'm a season pass holder. Any other questions?
Then hearing
To get a review of our transcripts, we would contact Barnes, right? The Barnes.
yes. Is that Gustavo?
Yes.
Yes.
If
Jay
you
Barnes, I think you see Mercedes.
yes,
Yeah.
Janelle is
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
person that you would contact to evaluate your transcripts if you're looking to transfer in any coursework from an additional university. Yes. If you're looking to get your unofficial transcripts, that's with your university.
Okay. And when is the best time to contact her? We can just email her whenever.
Oh yeah, just email her.
Yeah,
If she's
very
asleep,
good.
she'll answer it when she wakes up.
All right, cool.
Mhm. Any other questions?
Well, we look forward to seeing you all as applicants to our program, but please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions.
And I believe a video of this will be posted online.
Okay.
if you're interested in reviewing anything that we said, the slide deck will definitely be online as well. But if, like I said, if you do have any questions, by all means, please email us. I'm Marissa Lopez, the M Lopez 350. This is Dr. Harris, M Harris 226. I guess there's 349 other M Lopez's, but there are only 25 other M Harrises, so we're good. So if you have any questions, by all means, please do contact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice evening.
Be safe.
Thank you.
Wash your hands. Let's see.
Do we have the other one too? The teacher one?
Let me see. I'm sorry.